It's story time with Mrs. Greer, and we have another one. Today we're going to be reading The Mitten. Now, I want you to take a look at the front cover, and I want you to think about what do you see on this front cover? There's quite a few animals, and I wonder what season this is. Do anybody know? Yes, it's winter time. Winter time because you see a lot of snow. So, this story is about a boy named Nicky, okay, and he wants a pair of snow white mittens. Snow white, that means it's just as white as the snow. And his baba, which is his grandmother, knits one for him. She knits a pair of mittens for him. But something happened to those mittens, and I wonder if these animals have something to do with that. Hmm. Let's take a look into this story. Are you ready? All right, the mitten. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. So, wool is actually a material that's pretty heavy, and typically people wear that material during the snow season, so or winter time, if you will. So a lot of times what happens is with wool coats, people wear them, especially if you're going to a nice place or something like that, but you can wear it dressed up or dressed down. But wool is a type of material. At first, his grandmother Baba did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nikki wanted snow white mittens, and finally Baba made them. So Nikki called his grandma Baba. What do you call your grandma? I call mine's grandma, but some of my cousins call my grandma Nana. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and it was left behind. Oh my goodness. I wonder how Nicky feels. Does he feel that he's gonna, maybe Baba was right. I would feel that maybe she's right too. Maybe wearing snow white mittens wasn't a good idea after all. A mole tried, a mole tired from tunneling along discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. So to burrow means to just go in. It was cozy and warm and just the right size. So he decided to stay. So it seems like this white mitten is becoming home, at least to one animal. Let's see what else happens. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten and he wiggled in. Feet first! The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. So, how many friends are in the mitten now? Yes, two. Next, a hedgehog came sniffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and josted, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. I don't blame them. don't want to get hurt either. How many animals are in the mitten now? Three. You got it. Wow. Let's take a pause. Look how big this mitten is getting. Remember, Baba made this mitten for Nikki, right? And look how big it's gotten. I wonder how many friends are in this mitten now. Let's keep reading. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. How many now? One, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There are four animals in this mitten. Can you believe it? Baba did a really good job. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl was not pleased. There was no room left. But when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Five friends are in this mitten now. Look, that is a lot of friends. Oh goodness. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. So, trotting means that he was just walking by. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in his mouth. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. Can you blame them? No. That is a lot of animals in one mitten. Oh goodness. What do we have here? A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals was packed in as tight as they could be. But what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled, and stretched. It was pulled and bulged too many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast. So you're telling me that this bear is getting into this mitten? Oh goodness. Let's see. Now, how many friends do we have now? Do you remember? Let's go back. We have the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, the badger. Oh, wait, I need more fingers. The fox, and we have the bear. That is seven friends in this one mitten. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wiggled into one space left and held herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. So seven, and we have one more. A total of eight friends is in this mitten. I wonder if they're all feeling like it was a wonderful, cozy place to be. Because look, all of them are so tightly packed in. I wonder if they was really warm. I'm sure they was. Let's say, ooh, just take a look. Just take a look. Let's find out what happened. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Shoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. Oh my goodness, I can only imagine. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. So once that bear gave a enormous sneeze, Nicky was able to see that mitten fly up in the sky. And there was no doubt that it was his mitten because he asked Baba to make what kind of mitten? A snow white mitten, right? As he ran to catch the snow white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. Glad he found it. Aren't you glad? And that is the end. What a wonderful story. I wonder though, Nikki wanted a pair of Snow White mittens so badly that Baba finally makes them for him. What do you think he said to Baba that really made her want to make those mittens for her grandson? I know sometimes when I was younger, especially if I wanted my grandma to make something, I was like, "Oh, please, 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 please!" Or we can have a matching outfit. Or my favorite color is purple, so please, please, please. Sometimes I used to go to the crochet, not crochet, um, the sewing store, I used to call it. It was a store called Save-A-Thon. And that was all things materials, anything that you needed for knitting, anything that you needed for threads and needles to make dresses and blankets and different types of outfits and things. I used to go with my grandmother a lot. So sometimes I will see pretty material and I'll just ask grandma, you think we can make something out of this? And then that's when she'd be like, okay, we'll get the roll of material and get X amount of yards and we'll make something. So I wonder what was it that really sold Baba to making those mittens? What would you have asked if you was Nikki? What would you ask your mama, your grandma, your Baba? What would you say? And then also, I wonder what happened to the mitten when more animals crawled into it. Do you remember? Let's take a look at now. Remember, the mitten started this small, right? Very tiny, enough to fit the size of a hand. But then when we got to finally all of these friends, what happened to it? You got it. It most definitely swelled up. It stretched out. All of those animals was able to fit into that mitten. So the more animals that kept going inside, the more that mitten grew bigger. But I wonder, was that mitten now permanently stretched out? If you caught the end of the story, take a look at Baba. What do you think she's thinking? She's probably like, what happened here? Definitely is very noticeable that one mitten is larger than the other. But that was the story, The Mitten. And I hope you enjoyed it. We will be reading this story another time soon, but I want you to think about some of the things that you will be getting ready to wear as the season change. We see the trees are losing their leaves. We feel the chill in the air. So think about it. What are some of those materials again? Wool. You may wear a wool coat. You may wear mittens when it gets really snowy outside. So I want you to enjoy the rest of your time. And if you want to hear this read aloud again, you most certainly can. Until next time, take care. Bye.